Check out this quick hitter from the Pure Hoops podcast as Eric Newman and BJ Armstrong break down the new look and exciting Atlanta Hawks. This team has been in rebuild mode for a minute, and now they make some major additions. So they add Rondo, Gallinari, Bogdanovic. They add those guys to their young core of Trae Young, John Collins, Kevin Huerter, Clint Capela, and DeAndre Hunter. How good can this team be? What are your expectations?
Well, first, I've always wanted to say this on air. ATL, yo. Just wanted to say that.
We could check that box.
I want to check that with Ernie. I want to check that with Ernie, at TNT. When he said that one night.
That's great.
Great. So I just wanted to say that.
That's great.
This Atlanta Hawks team is interesting because offensively, they've created an amazing amount of space on the floor. Gallinari, you have to stay at home. Bogdanovic, you have to stay at home. Trae Young, you better guard him from the bus, the locker room. So they have created a lot of space on the floor for athletes like Capela and their athletes that they have on the floor. They have some nice young bodies to come out and play. Yeah. But what does this mean? To be a good team, your stability has to be your defense and defensive presence every single night. Offensively, on paper, they should be able to score the ball. But will they be scoring the ball, taking the ball out of their own basket? Or will they be getting stops and creating havoc on the floor so that they can have the continuity of what all good teams have? They can get stops when needed. They have a lot of questions on that end of the ball. Defensively, I don't like this team because it's going to put a lot of pressure on Clint Capela to defend the rim and be the anchor, because many of those players that I just talked about, Gallinari, Bogdanovic, and Trae Young, they're not known for their defensive pressure or defensive ability as of yet. And that's going to put a lot of pressure on the front court players to have to take up for what those players won't do, because this league now is about doing three things. We're going to drive to the basket. We're going to shoot threes. Okay. And we're going to try to get fouled at the free throw line. Well, if they're not defending well on the perimeter, it's going to put a lot of pressure on their backcourt, their front court players to always help. And that should give the opposing team an advantage to draw and kick, attack their bigs, so forth and so on. I do like what they've done. I think the organization has made a clear, conscious decision to say, we want to improve in the winning column this year with the players they brought in. They made a commitment financially, but most importantly, are they going to get the results that they're looking for? I always look on the other side of the ball, because defense, you can do that every single night. I can't count on my jump shot being hot every single game, but defensively, I can count on the effort and energy that's necessary. So I think they should improve by the quality of players they brought in on the offensive end, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to get the results that they're looking for, because you have to be able to defend. And right now, I have a lot of concerns on that side of the ball if you're talking about having a sustained level of play that we're looking for, because I think Atlanta is looking to take the next jump with their franchise.
You think about the talent here, and I'm thinking about what you're saying about the defensive side of the ball, that I'm thinking about potential lineup combinations and rotation. And it's going to be an interesting decision for Lloyd Pierce. Like, how much shooting does he want to put on the floor at once, knowing that the more he adds, the worse he's going to be at the other end? Do you know Coach Pierce at all? Do you? So, and he obviously has quickly, he had a great reputation as an assistant. Clearly, they're looking to build with him at the helm here. in a couple of sentences, how do you sum up Coach Pierce, his DNA, and how that translates to what this team could be?
Well, the one thing that I'm sure of Coach Pierce and his staff will say internally, maybe they won't express this in the media, but I will say it here, is that he's going to have to manage the expectations of winning. Because with those players that they added and the financial ramifications of the players signed at the number they were signed at, we want results now. If this team doesn't start out well, let's say 7-3, 8-2, I think you're going to get grumblings down there in Atlanta, because offensively, which we tend to look at first, people are going to say, well, they should be better. How could you not be better? You have Trae Young, you have Gallinari, you have Bogdanovic. Well, they all can't play well on the offensive side of the ball because there's only one ball. One or two of those players is not going to jump out of the gate immediately. It will be okay as long as they win, because you can absorb not playing well and winning. If you're not playing well and you're losing, well, who's going to be the first person that they're going to look at? They're not going to say, get rid of Trae Young. They're not going to say, get rid of Gallinari. They're going to say, well, maybe we need a different coach. So I think the first thing that has to happen is they have to get out of the gate early and then try to establish that they can be a good team, because this team doesn't know if they're going to be a good team yet. They haven't been together long enough to know what they can and can't do. But I think it's important for them in the first 10 games to get out of the gate, to establish that they are a good team, to be a confident group. And then I think the coaches and all of the things that they need to do, the right combinations, bringing this guy along, maybe finding who can play with who, that can take care of itself. But I think it's these first 10 to 15 games are very important for this franchise, because they're a very fragile group, in my opinion. They're a fragile group. Why? Because they've never played together. And now with these big salaries, with these veteran players, now everyone is looking and saying they should be a better team than a year ago.
We hope you enjoyed that quick hitter from the Pure Hoops podcast. Be sure to check out the full episode with BJ Armstrong and Eric Newman, dropping each and every Friday. Stay pure.